The Freedom from Religion Foundation is calling for the United States to sever diplomatic relations with Saudi Arabia. This is not a step that we are calling for lightly. It's due to not just the recent brutality that the Saudi regime has exhibited with the disappearance and possible death of dissident Jamal Khashoggi, but it's based on the very fundamental nature of the Saudi regime, and that it's an absolute theocracy, almost like no other country in the world. The most obvious way that the Saudi regime exhibits its fundamentalism at home is in regard to an area that the Freedom from Religion Foundation has been proud to work on since its existence, and that's women's rights. People may have heard that finally the ban on women driving has been lifted, but that's such a cosmetic PR ploy. Women there are still subject to an odious form of guardianship where they cannot travel, they cannot file official documents or do pretty much anything else of substance without having to get permission from a male adult member of the family. Also, for example, no other religion is allowed to be practiced in Saudi Arabia. And of course, free thought is banned on punishment of death. FFRF has actually intervened in a number of instances in which people have been sentenced to death for blasphemy and for atheism. And the Freedom from Religion Foundation has called on the US and the US Embassy to intervene. The Saudi regime has done tremendous damage worldwide in a number of ways. For instance, its form of Islam, which is Wahhabi Islam, has been disseminated globally on the strength of petro-money that the Saudi regime possesses, driving out moderate forms of Islam in regions ranging from South Asia to Southeast Asia, for example, Indonesia, to the Middle East itself, North Africa, and spreading this doctrine which says that you cannot live with non-Muslims and that you have to follow this extremely patriarchal fundamentalist form of Islam. Also, the Saudi regime has gotten into a war, a sectarian war with Iran, because Iran is Shiite and the Saudis consider that as apostasy. And because of that, the Saudis have launched a war in Yemen, causing the world's worst humanitarian crisis. The Freedom from Religion Foundation has been proud that it's been combating the Saudi regime in the small way that it can. Last year, we called on the US Embassy to intervene in the death sentence of a dissident, an atheist freethinker. This year, in November, Freedom from Religion Foundation's annual convention is honoring Insaf Haidar, whose husband, Raif Badawi, has been subjected to lashing in Saudi Arabia. FFRF is proud to have been spotlighting the odious nature of the Saudi regime, and this is why it's calling for a severing of ties with the Saudi monarchy. The Saudi monarchy is at odds fundamentally with the US way of life and with the US Constitution. The United States government needs to listen to the Freedom from Religion Foundation and completely break off ties with the Saudi fundamentalist regime.